There's one winner. And no finish line.
The Long Walk is directed by Francis Lawrence and is the latest thriller film to hit theaters. This film is based off of a Stephen King novel of the same name, and it wasn't a movie that I was super excited about. I went into the theater hoping I was going to get a good thriller. If I was lucky, it would be an edge-of-my-seat thriller, and I got all of that and so much more out of this movie. I know we haven't gotten to the review yet, but I'm just going to tell you guys now that The Long Walk is one of my favorite movies of 2025 so far. Let's do the review for The Long Walk.
Here we go.
That is one big pile of shit.
No, I shot him. Bullets in the fall killed him.
So The Long Walk stars David Johnson as a character named Peter McVrise, and it stars Cooper Hoffman as a character named Raymond Garrity. And both Raymond and Peter meet each other for the very first time when they show up to the competition known as The Long Walk. So what is this competition known as The Long Walk? Well, this film is set in a dystopian American police state, and one of the higher-ups in this police state, known only as the Major, played by Mark Hamill, has put together this competition known as The Long Walk because he's looking for strong men. He believes that men in America have gotten lazy and they've gotten weak. And so what he does once a year is he selects one young man from each state to be in this competition known as the Long Walk, where there's a starting point, but there is no finish line. You have to walk surrounded by military until there's only one left. And how does it get whittled down? Well, if you stop for a certain amount of time, you will be executed by the military that's following you. And so you have to keep up a pace of more than 3 miles an hour, and you have to outlast 49 other young men. And that is what happens throughout this film. You have this character of Raymond, this character of Peter. They meet, they immediately start to form a bond, and then all 50 young men start walking through this competition as you watch them slowly get executed as they go along. Now, what's the big prize for the winner of this competition? Well, the person who can outlast all 49 other men gets riches beyond your imagination and gets one wish. The Major will grant one wish, whatever you want. They even talk about how one guy in the past said he wanted to go home on an elephant, and so they brought him an elephant that he was able to take home with him. So any wish you want, as long as it doesn't alter the current police state, you can have that. And that is the best synopsis that I can give you for The Long Walk. If that sounds like a fun time, well, it is currently playing in theaters, and I would highly recommend that you check this out on a big screen. Now, I am going to get into my positives and my negatives for The Long Walk here in a second, but before I do that, if this is the first time you found my channel, well, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe button. Check out all the different content on my channel, whether you like movie reviews, Blu-ray talk, or ranked list videos. I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, let's get into my positives and my negatives for The Long Walk.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize the truth of this. This is walk or die.
My first positive for this movie is going to be the stunning yet horrific visuals throughout the film. And what I mean by that is that throughout this movie, you're pretty much watching these young men walk hundreds of miles. So the landscape around them has to be appealing to the eye for you so that you keep up with the film. But while the film has a don't look away sort of look to it, it also has these horrific visuals as you see these young men completely give up. They can't go any further. Maybe their bodies are starting to shut down on them and it's not their fault, or maybe their brains start to break and they're like, you know what, I can't be part of this anymore. Well, if you step off the road, you're immediately executed. And so you see these executions happen and they're horrific. You don't want to look at it, but at the same time, you can't look away. My next positive for this movie is going to be the range of emotions this movie was able to pull out of me personally. I can't say this movie is going to affect everybody the exact same way, but for me personally, the movie was exciting at times that made me laugh, and it was heartbreaking at times that brought real tears to my eyes. The film has a great way of making you believe the brotherhood, the bond that these characters have, and you are going along with this walk with them, and so you feel for them like they feel for each other. And so again, when they laugh, you laugh. When they cry, you cry, and has a great way of mixing those emotions up. My next positive in this movie is going to be the characters, getting introduced to these characters so quickly, and yet they found a way to hook you and make you believe in the brotherhood that these characters were going to have. We talked about Peter Peter and Raymond meeting for the very first time. They have no reason to care for each other as much as they do by the end of this long walk, but they do seriously care for each other throughout this film, and that makes you buy into this brotherhood that they have. In fact, it's not just them. There's a couple other people on this long walk, and they all sort of join up together to become what they call the Musketeers, and you seriously buy into their brotherhood, their love for each other, their care for one another. Again, the character work in this blew me away. My next positive for this movie is the pace. I was really worried going into this film that it was going to drag because 95% of this film is just these characters creating this brotherhood as they walk. And it's probably because of the other things we talked about, both the visuals, the emotions, the character work, that helped me not look at my watch even a single time. This movie had me locked in from the very beginning, and I was edge of my seat for the majority of the film. So for me, the pace, the runtime, it was perfect.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
And my final positive for this movie is the overall positive message that this movie had. It would have been really easy for this movie to just have a very dark message and a very bleak ending. However, I think it had a very inspiring and positive message by the end of the film. And what I mean by all that is that this is a very dark film set in a very dark version of America and has some horrific events throughout the entire film. But the overall positive message of this film is that even though you might be in some dark times, if you have friends, if you have companions, if you have people you care about, you can make it through those dark times. And I think that's such an inspirational message, one that we can all take something positive away from. So the overall positive message within this incredibly dark film was something I had to put in my positives. That'll do it for my positives. Now we have to get into my negatives, and I really only have one negative as of this point in time, and that is the concept of the American police state wasn't built up enough for me to fully buy into. I'm sure in the novel from Stephen King that they really built up why this police state came to be, but the movie just kind of establishes that there's a police state and then go, let's start the long walk. And listen, the rest of the movie was really entertaining, and if you didn't have the concept of this police state, then you wouldn't have bought into the long walk. So I understand that they still needed to have it, but they didn't establish it enough for me to fully buy into. I think that's the only thing holding this movie back from being in my top 5 for the year right now, is that I wanted to really buy into that police state, but I wanted to understand it more, and the movie did a poor job making me understand why it came to be. But even with that negative, overall, I still had a great time with this film. It's one that I would highly recommend to everyone. As of right now, it's in my top 10 for the year, but this might be one of my favorite Stephen King novel adaptations. It's that damn good. So if you get the chance to see this on a big screen, I recommend you check out The Long Walk. But as always, guys, those are just my opinions because that's my review for The Long Walk. Have you guys had a chance to see this film yet? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know where we agree or disagree. I love hearing your thoughts on movies. And finally, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright guys, got to the end of my review for The Long Walk. I really had a great time with this film. I'm even thinking about going to see it a second time. That's how much I enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what other big movies come out this year. I can't wait to review those. But in the meantime, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got my best and worst of 2025 right there. And I've got all of my 2025 movie reviews right there.